Welcome to this moment that we are all gathering together to bring our dreams into being on this planet. Thank you to everyone throughout time and space who has said yes to being here right now as we gather and ground and bring the new world into being. So I invite us to close our eyes if you can, and start to tune into your breath. Exhaling, deeply inhaling, engaging all the way down to the bottoms of your feet. And then bringing that breath all the way up through your body and out through the crown of your head. One more time, inhaling, and this time feeling center point, feeling that expand, and softening and letting that relax. On this next inhale, bringing our awareness into our heart center, witnessing the blossom of our heart unfolding, unfurling, opening wider for our radiance to shine forth and for that coherent connection between each one of us to form and forge together so that we are all in resonance with each other. For this last breath, bringing it in to your third eye, seeing that open, receiving clarity, the insight for whatever messages and transmissions wish to come through at this time as we gather in this eternal here and now. Aho.
Aho. Thank you, Mary, for bringing us in. It's an honor to be here with you all. We're here in our second meeting of our Mastermind series, and I'm really super excited for this meeting. Last meeting, we went into a lot of generalizations, a lot of which we already knew about. And so here we're actually going to be kind of breaking new ground, learning new things. Current agenda for the meeting is an overview of the current functions of Earth Nation systems, followed by a questions and answers, and then leading into a bit of meta dialogue regarding potentially why we're doing things the way we are and some other ways we may be able to do them. And then I was hoping we could close on sub-meetings for specific groups. One moment, please. All right. So if there are any questions about the agenda, now's a good time. If not, I'm just going to get into it. And it's going to be about 20, 25 minutes of an introduction. Is there any questions before we get started? Great. So first thing, we're going to actually pause here in each section for Q&A. But this is really super important in that the Q&A part be only single sentence questions. If you need to add context to your question by any kind of explanation for it other than a one sentence question, later in the conversation will be time for things like that. So, and again, in the Q&A, it's only questions about that particular section, and it's just for getting clarity on something you didn't understand. And so without further ado, I'll just start reading it. So I wanted to kind of, first section is kind of just my perspective on the EN as one of the main designers of this system. I wanted to give all of you an idea into what I was thinking, and why the systems that were made this way. So to me, in my understanding of it, my terminology, this is not necessarily collectively agreed on terminology in this first section. This is more like my perspective on it, though the rest of the sections we will get into are more of the things that are agreed upon by everyone. So to me, the Earth Nation is a sentient network of relationships and agreements. Sentient in this context means that each person within the network is conscious of and supporting all other people in the network. Just like a single sentient being is conscious of itself and supports its own life, well-being, and desires, so too do we do that individually as part of a greater being that is the network. By comparison, non-sentience implies that a person or a network or an organization or a construct is only partially aware of the entirety of itself. As a result of this unawareness, non-sentient beings often regularly harm themselves. And we see this all the time in human society. What we see a lot of today is semi-sentience. Beings who periodically, for moments, sometimes hours, even days on occasion, reach full sentience. And then, especially when under any form of stress, drop back into a survival-based reactive non-sentient state. In the New Paradigm movement, we also very often see a state we call majority sentience. This means a being is typically experiencing a state of sentience, though under extreme stress, this state is lost in unconscious reactivity for a time. Speaking into that for a moment, this is like one of the biggest things that we as a culture and as a network and as a movement and as a society really need to be aware of and really hold each other. And when we experience others in reactivity, by holding full sentience, not being reactive, we actually very rapidly pull them back into sentience. And on the flip end of that, it's also possible to see these reaction chains. And like, I'm sure we've all seen large groups of people that are all reacting based on a single person's initial reaction. So part of this new paradigm is like stopping that and staying in a state of sentience. Speaking into that, I myself have been known to be reactive previously. I have been on this kick for about 2 months though, where I believe and I think and I feel that I have not left a state of sentience for about 2 months. And I'm hoping that that will just keep continuing for the rest of my life. But if I become reactive, I'm counting on the rest of you to help pull me back. So the Earth Nation as a sentient network has 3 purposes from my perspective anyway. So purpose number 1 is to be a living example of a sentient network, to assist in the process of collective human sentience. And speaking into that a little, a lot of people would like to think that the human culture and human society is sentient. It's not. Individual humans are, but our society as a whole is not sentient. And so by being an example of what a truly happy, healthy, sentient network looks like, we are making it easier for other groups, networks, eventually governments in the world to also adopt sentience. Number 2, to support sentient humans in accessing harmonic creation. And that might sound a little woo, but basically we as sentient humans have the capacity to come together and to share things and actualize and make reality happen. We can build, we can grow, there's so much we can do together. And our purpose, part of the Earth Nation's purpose, is to facilitate that happening in a conscious, intelligent, and decentralized way. And I call all of that harmonic creation. Purpose number 3, to facilitate the development of systems to support non-sentient and semi-sentient humans and reaching and continuously holding a state of sentience. And those are the 3 purposes to my perspective. Does anyone have a question, a point of clarity that they would like regarding that information at this time? Great, we all get it. Love that. Let's keep going. All right, so now I'm about to explain how the Earth Nation network works from the outside in. So first is external networking systems. Our primary methodology for external communication has been a combination of direct outreach to strategic partners, social media broadcasted blurbs, articles, and emails combined with visionary imagery, a combination of animated and live videos, interviews, talk shows, EN Eco Village Heart Quarters, and EN tours. We have historically used cross-promotion platforms, incentivized ambassador networks, Facebook, Google, and Twitter ads, a plethora of non-public SEO and artificially intelligent broadcasting tools, and a publishing network that peaked at hundreds of thousands of views a month and a total following of more than 150,000. We have hosted 2 medium and 1 large-scale heart quarter spaces in Glendale, Oregon, Eugene, Oregon, and Ava, Missouri. We ran each experimental space for around 8 months, during which between 8 to 30 EN-related staff at a time, with more than 100 people employed during the course of the 3 HQs, were paid to work on different EN land and virtual projects. And that is mostly how we have been reaching out to the world and basically pulling people, energies, resources into our membrane. Are there any questions on that section? Great. So what have we been pulling people into? So there's this element of what we are where we are an alliance, and our external alliance system works like this. So first we have EN allies. An EN ally is an organization embodying the frequency and channel of sentience in a way that is in alignment with the EN network ethos. We as a network do what we can to unconditionally support organizations with similar agendas to ours. Requirement to become an EN ally. A member in a leadership position of a potential EN ally must be in an active synergy relationship with an EN vault holder. From there, the EN community discusses the alignment of that organization, and if there are no outstanding objections, the organization is considered an EN ally. EN allies include One Community Global, Symbi, Namundo, BitNation, Sioux Nation, Royal Kingdom of Hawaii, Superhero Academy, Conscious Media Coalition, Truth Theory, UBI, SBI, K-Pasna Foundation, New Earth Nation, Commune Tierra, EcoBase, Nectar, Pesco, Carbon Cycle, EcoBuilt, Arcadia, and many more. EN Partner, or an ENP, a business, nonprofit, or other organization that does one or more of the following. 1. Offers the Earth Nation Alliance, otherwise known as the ENA, a minimum of 3% net revenue as a donation. 2. Offers the ENA and sometimes ENPs, Earth Nation partners, a discount for offered products and services. 3. Makes and continues a trade guild currency exchange with the CWS, and we will get into what that means later. 4. Receives equality keys at a minimum 3% discount in exchange for goods or services. 5. Offers the ENA shared access to a valued resort, asset, or location. This access cannot be monetarily based. EN partners include Flower of Life Society, World Creation Studios, One Stop Money Shop, Drozda, Stada, Terra Frutis, Permaculture Action Guild, Earth Cycle, Light Foundation, and Freedom Technologies. Any questions on? Great. All right, so that's the kind of the external aspect of our membrane and what we're doing externally to build alliances, spread the word, facilitate the connections. Next, we're going to get into our internal education and filtering systems. So as people come from the external membrane into the internal membrane, what does that look like? So we have experimented a great deal with different ways and aspects of funneling gathered awareness into different virtual and physical experiences that lead some into creating meaningful connection with us. The current funnel goes website, academy, community engagement, and then vault holdership. Intention for the upcoming funnel we're building together is viewer, customer, member, trusted, and then vault holder. It is our understanding that all front-end, publicly engaging aspects of the Earth Nation should be extremely simple and focused specifically around either entertainment, a product, or service. Processes and systems in between being a member and becoming a vault holder are relatively undeveloped at this time and are in dire need of attention. It is critical this membership into vault holdership phase exists, and the integrity of our network will most likely be corrupted if the process becomes too easy to be a vault holder during our early adoption phase. Any questions on that? Charlene.
Can you specify a bit more about viewer, customer, member, trusted vote holder, about the upcoming funnel?
No, not at this time. That'll be a further conversation.
I'll make note.
Yes, it's a whole team should be oriented on that. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, keep going. So once people are into the state of being a vote holder, now they are on the inside of our membrane and they are helping to guide our systems as a fellow vote holder on the same playing field as even someone like me who's been with us for quite some time. And these are our internal collective intelligence processes. And to kind of give scope for these processes, I want to explain a little bit of history. So it was in 2015 that we first started experimenting with collective intelligence virtual voting processes. The first iteration was the Awakening Sovereignty Collective, ASC. This experiment ran through 4 additional iterations during its 3 years of high growth and activity, totaling more than 120 vote-holding shareholders with about 300 proposals voted upon. Activities ranged from HQs, community gardens, nonprofit educational events and tours, software and media development, cooperative business funding, and talk shows. Of most significant note, the ASC Collective Wealth Stewardship Pool was entrusted with more than 15,000 acres of land. Everything the ASC did now directly supports the value of Equality Keys and the Earth Nation Collective Wealth Stewardship Pool. Currently, the Earth Nation Alliance, ENA, is a 3-body voting system, with all 3 bodies needing to agree to pass a funding proposal. Proposals that do not require funds from the Collective Wealth Stewardship Pool do not require approval from the CCC or the SET. This voting happens on the DAO.space, our custom voting platform forked out of Lumio. The Earth Nation vote holders, otherwise known as the ENV, is the primary voting body, designed to provide a platform for popular consensus to direct funding proposals. Currently functioning as 1 vote per person, 75% consensus on the first 7-day round, 70% consensus on the second, third, 3-day round, and 65% consensus on the third 3-day round. Meaning that if a vote goes through our system and there isn't 75% consensus in the first round, it keeps going over those times and those thresholds required for approval. To join, someone must be invited and then must earn or otherwise be gifted 1,000 Equality Keys to then donate to the EN Collective Wealth Stewardship Pool. And then we have the Council of Center Coordinators, otherwise known as the CCC, which is the executive voting body designed to facilitate the intelligent actualization of popular proposals, currently functioning as 1 vote per person, 10-day round, and an 80% consensus required to either 1, block or amend the numeric nature of a proposal, or 2, freeze project funding for a project not meeting benchmark requirements. If the CCC cannot obtain 80% consensus, the CCC abstains. Potential CCC members must be in the ENV to be considered. CCC members are elected or asked to resign via consensus from the CCC or consensus from the ENV. The Strategic Economic Team. And speaking into this section, this is actually a new development that is not set into stone as the other ones are. Though in our system, nothing is set into stone because of our liquid dynamic policy. But this is something that has not been entirely collectively agreed upon, but it has a majority approval, and it seems like the direction we're moving into. The Strategic Economic Team, otherwise known as the SET, is the analytical intelligence body designed to facilitate overall growth for the entire EN network by occasionally shutting down or freezing proposals that have a strong likelihood of creating internal economic damage. Out of respect for the great many contributions of ASC vote holders and shareholders, the ASC initially decided the board of the SET, which now includes myself, Jay Kaiser, Graham Donnelly, Teo Fallenstar, Raymond Powell, and Casey. SET functions from consensus -2. Until SET grows to 8 members, then it will be consensus -3, and at 10 members, it will be consensus -4, meaning that 4 out of the 6 of us currently need to agree if we want to block a proposal. SET board members can be approved or asked to resign by consensus from SET and the CCC, SET and the ENV, or the CCC and ENV, meaning it takes 2 out of the 3 parties in the Earth Nation Alliance to elect or to ask to resign a member from the board of the SET. People on the SET are all mostly people that deal a lot with business and money, which is what that team is about. That was a lot. Any questions? Charlene?
Is the ENT replacing the sovereign, what is it, the ASC?
No.
Okay, so that will still, so now where does the ASC come into play?
The ASC is its own thing, doing its own thing, currently to the side of the Earth Nation Alliance. And the ASC is offering the Earth Nation access to the ASC's collective wealth stewardship pool. And that trade agreement already happened. And as a result, the ASC has quite a few equality keys. So they have interconnected their economy, but at this time will no longer be having a direct vote in what the Earth Nation Alliance is doing. Unless, of course, the ASC believes that the Earth Nation Alliance is going to do something that is going to wreck our economy, in which case the ASC will pull out everything it's given to the ENs to date so far, that it still can. So let's hope that does not happen. Let's make good economic decisions that the people backing us support and see the logical clarity of.
So what's the relationship between the ENV and the ASC if it's the same parties? And so the ASC used to be part of the 3-part voting system within EN, correct?
Correct. Technically still is. We have yet to finally vote in the shift to the SET, but it's something that our center coordinators have voiced that they want. And so we're moving in that direction. And the correlation now to date is that the Earth Nation Alliance overall has access to the ASC's collective wealth stewardship pool. All that land, all the keys, all the currencies, all the tools at this point that the Earth Nation is using were primarily funded, developed, and owned by the ASC, and that's now being shared. So that's the correlation currently. Any other questions? Great. Let's keep going. So internal team content and communication systems. We have historically used Asana, Trello, Slack, Discord, Google Folders, Mighty Groups, COEO, Group Up, Minds, Google Docs, Spreads, Forums, Teachable Academies, Fandom Wikis, and Facebook chat rooms for communication, as well as many other platforms. Facebook chat rooms have generally more than 10 times better retention and response times from the general community than every other platform, with still more than 3 times the average response time of even paid team members, unless team notifications are properly configured on a platform like Discord. Discord has proven to be the best free platform for paid team communication. Sorting and aggregating data, and Trello has proven useful for structuring data for different teams, as well as for posting bounty boards / paid objective boards. And Teachable has proven useful for formulating comprehensive educational material, including a variety of written and video content. Those are my favorite. I know there's a lot of them on the market, but all the others that I have seen and played with are simply too complicated for what we're doing, in my opinion. We can talk more about that at length in a breakout group. Are there any questions on our toolkit pack that we've used so far? All right, we'll keep chugging. So this is kind of where we're getting into the nitty-gritty of like what happens after a project is funded. So internal integrity and personnel management systems. EN core project definition. A business, nonprofit, or other organization started, managed, and controlled through the ENA's collective intelligence processes. This now includes our online education, videos, websites, and academies, Earth Nation TV, Earth Nation Market, Earth Nation Application, the Equality Keys Project, and the DAO space are all ENC projects that are under ongoing and active development at this time. It is the primary role of the CCC to manage all Earth Nation core projects. Our system of management is as follows. When a funding proposal is passed, the person who made the proposal or otherwise the person/team stated as the managing party of the proposal, is then held accountable to regular reporting to the CCC to ensure the project is consistently meeting the intentions and objectives stated in the proposal. The majority of funds for a given proposal are released over time as needed to the managing group. The exact timeframes and parameters of reported materials is decided specifically by the center coordinator placed in stewardship of the project. The lead center coordinator for any given project is decided by the CCC. Projects that do not meet the standards set by the center coordinators are eligible to have their project funding frozen by a CCC vote. We primarily use Google Forms that link into spreadsheets for aggregating data from numerous people, teams, and branches of the ENC. Most often required data is expenses, staff hours, and deliverables. Are there any questions on our internal project management structure? Great, chugging through it. All right, and we're coming to a close, and this is how we handle our internal asset, resource, and legal management systems. The center of the Earth Nation Asset and Resource Management System is the EN Collective Wealth Stewardship Pool, or the CWS for short. During the early growth and adoption phase of the EN network, the growth of our CWS is one of our primary objectives. This objective supersedes the majority of our humanitarian efforts until we have adequate infrastructure, personnel, and resource streams to activate wide-scale positive change projects. Due to this, our primary proposal funding process is currently focused on funding Earth Nation core and partnered projects and businesses that will add highly valued resources over time, or access points, to the ENCWS. The ENA has access to distribute and utilize any and all resources and assets in the ENCWS. Currently in the CWS is primarily large lots of land and buildings, a variety of virtual assets and tools, and Earth Nation cryptocurrencies. The majority of lands and properties in the CWS are held in trust or owned by a local corporation owned by one or more Earth Nation bondholders. We are exploring placing all properties into trusts stewarded by an unincorporated spiritual ministry specifically tasked with growing, managing, and utilizing these land assets. Collectively owned Bitcoin and Ethereum can be held in a multi-signature wallet, with CCC and SET members acting as the signers of the wallet. For around $10,000, we can implement multi-sig smart contracts for all CWS, crypto, and token currencies. When we shift onto CoGov and Holo, our collective voting software will facilitate the multi-signature process and currency distribution as part of the proposal itself built into the application. Fiat resources are held in PayPal and bank accounts controlled by the Flower of Life Society, which is an unincorporated spiritual ministry, also known as USP. For those of you who do not know, unincorporated spiritual ministries have superpowers in the legal world. We qualify for everything a nonprofit corp does, but we have none of the spending, filing, or reporting requirements. You can thank the Vatican for that. The Flower of Life Society has agreed to and has been tasked with utilizing EN CWS funds exactly as indicated by the EN collective intelligence processes. This aspect of things can be taken to court if funds are used not in accordance with ENA will. Furthermore, EN CWS Flower of Life bank accounts can also be made to be multi-signature, with CCC or SET members acting as the signers. Finally, the Flower of Life Society is willing to place additional EN vault holders onto the board of the Flower of Life Society itself. We cannot, however, participate in commerce as a USP. When performing commerce as an EN team and EN core project, we use primarily an LLC custom made for the project. We are considering switching over the majority of our LLC constructs into Estonia. Estonia is actually a modernly created sovereign nation that has full recognition and who has managed to do a lot of the things that personally I would like to do. They offer virtual citizenship to their country and receive a very small 15% taxes on businesses that operate out of their country. And guess what? They actually use that money to help people. It's amazing. Alternatively, people and organizations pledge funds to the ENA to be used for a specific set of purposes or previously approved proposals. The person or organization who has pledged the funds may hold on to pledged funds and use the funds directly on project expenses as directed by the center coordinator stewarding the project. An example of this is Rawtopia. So my dad has funded that. That's an Earth Nation project. I'm the center coordinator of it. And as expenses come up, my dad pays directly. He'll pay the contractor, he pays directly for the materials, but he stewards the money and then uses it in alignment with us and puts the money into what we all collectively think it should go into. This is a great way for people to contribute money to us and feel really safe and secure knowing they're holding the funds and that they also get a level of approval on how those funds are used. Any questions on that stack of how we handle money, law, legal, and management? It works for contracts too. I didn't want to get into it, but or partners working with us can sign contracts either with us personally or with the Flower of Life Society itself. And the Flower of Life represents us legally in the traditional court systems of the world. Charlene?
No. So an example of your dad or somebody holding their funds that are being funded into a project, do they have more, what is their vote? How is it weighted in reflection or in relation to Earth Nation?
They get one vote just like everyone else. If they even have a vote, someone can pledge funds to us without having a vote. And basically the way it works is they can either say yes to what we've decided, or they can talk to us about it and maybe we'll amend it. But if they're in alignment with what we're doing, then they will keep moving the money. And if they ever stop being in alignment, we can look at that. But basically the way it works is when someone funds an Earth project, they get equality keys back. So they're actually they're not just giving it, they're receiving currency back, and they don't get that currency back if they stop making it. So that keeps them accountable to continuously using the money as we decided. But also gives them the opportunity to just back out of the whole thing if they feel like doing that at some point. Any other questions on that section? Great. All right, last section, you guys. This is going to be a headful, FYI. This is the most complicated part of the whole system. And for those of you that don't understand all the details, just try to get a big picture on overview of it. And I have done my best to provide connotation on more of a mental, spiritual level for all of these numbers we're going to get into. So a major aspect of what we're doing in the Earth Nation is building an international digitized resource-based economy that is owned and controlled, stewarded, and in benefit of the people of the planet. So there are inherent qualities to the guiding elements, numerical factors, and functions powering fiat currencies that are continuously leading towards a higher percentage of humans experiencing a scarcity of desired resources. Attempting to directly influence this fiat economic system, powers behind the modern international fiat economy are also the descendants of powers that supported and benefited from the military empirical takeover of the majority of the world we know today. Our solution is to create our own economy, powered by new currencies, managed and stewarded by benevolent sentient collectives, designed to facilitate a continuously higher percentage of humans experiencing an abundance of desired resources. As we've seen with Bitcoin and many other cryptos, when there is a finite amount of currency, and that currency is actively bought and traded, over time, the value of the currency goes up. This pattern occurs primarily due to the inherent human nature to gather and hoard wealth. As more humans gather and hold onto money, this reduces the amount of money in circulation. As money is reduced from circulation, the value of the money remaining in circulation rises. Likewise, as the demand for money rises, and when the amount in circulation remains the same, the value of money also rises. And in certain cases where the amount of money is in circulation is being reduced and the demand is going up, it leads to even higher amounts of growth of the value of that currency. So in traditional economies, this effect is being displaced by the perpetual printing of more money, which increases the supply to balance. Current fiat tactics are to over time increase the supply to very slightly exceed the amount of demand to create a slow reduction in value of money over many years, which leads to scarcity. As part of our purpose to support sentient humans in accessing harmonic creation, we have designed equality keys, otherwise known as EQK, to be the center medium to establish a series of interconnected new paradigm economies that directly back the value of the EN currency suite at collectively agreed upon rates in such a way that increases the value of all EN currencies over time in comparison to fiat currencies. This is accomplished through 7 synergy mechanisms. Number 1, as EQK exits the CWS and enters into circulation, and as the ENA makes meaningful partnership alliances that lead to significant growth of the CWS, the price of EQK from the CWS increases, currently at a rate of 1 cent for every $5,000 worth of EQK exchanged or distributed. This mechanism directly increases the cost and value during high demand periods of EQK entering into circulation over time. Number 2, a percentage of all growth of the CWS pool goes towards placing buy orders for EQK on the market until buy orders for EQK are close to the rate that the CWS is selling EQK for. This mechanism directly decreases the available supply of EKQ over time while maintaining a regulated and ever-increasing minimum that the currency can drop to in periods of high supply and low demand. It reduces our fluctuations compared to any of the other cryptos out there. 3, all EN core and some, soon most, Earth Nation partners accept EQK at a discount. 4, each ENV Earth Nation vault holder that joins the network removes 1,000 EQK from circulation. 5, ENC projects donate all profits to the CWS. When EQK is spent at a discount for ENC services or projects, additional EQK are removed from circulation and sent to the CWS. Number 6, due to the growing value of EQK, more people will continue buying and holding EQK as a form of a collective IRA or retirement plan. These 4 mechanisms continuously increase the demand for EQK while reducing the supply, leading to increase in value over time. And then number 7, and this is to some extent the most important aspect of this. To support similar fractal organizations, the ENA may choose to make a trade guild transaction. This entails trading a sum of EQK for a sum of another form of currency. When currencies are traded this way, the traded currencies are not usually permitted to be sold on the market for fiat currencies, otherwise known as an external trade. Rather, each collective in of itself sets internal trade rates to allow for interconnection of our new paradigm economies. Sometimes this agreement can be weighted with more control given to a specific collective. When this happens correctly, with due diligence, integrity, and economic intelligence, the trade always leads to great economic benefit for both parties. The partnering organization benefits from initial access to funding and resources in order to grow, and the ENA benefits from long-term growth of the partnered orgs. The easiest way for me to explain this is through examples. Last year, the ENA made 3 trade guild agreements, otherwise known as EGTs. The first was with EarthCycle. 4 million equality keys valued at $4 each were traded for 16 million EarthCycle coins valued at $1 each. This agreement is weighted to the side of EarthCycle. The Earth Nation is permitted to sell amounts of EarthCycle coins, in this case, including for outside of family currencies, fiat, but the Earth Nation is only allowed to sell it to the internal member network, not to the external market, though it's allowed to trade it for fiat. So they're selling these coins at ladder steps And these latter steps are set by the ECC, otherwise known as the Earth Cycle Council. The ENCWS is currently selling EC coins for $2 each. When EC coins are sold this way, 100% of the profits are used to buy equality keys back from the Earth Cycle Fund, otherwise known as the ECF. For every 8 Earth Cycle coins sold this way, the EN may internally sell or otherwise trade and distribute an additional 2 Earth Cycle coins. When the ECF finds a meaningful use for an ENC or ENP partnered business, they may use any number of equality keys for the purchase of product or service. For every 1 equality key liquidated by the ECF, the EN may internally liquidate or distribute up to 4 EC coins. And those are the rules and regulations regarding the trade between Earth Cycle and Earth Nation. The other trade, the second trade, was with the Light Foundation. 1 million equality keys valued at $4 each were traded for 100 million light valued at 4 cents each. This agreement is weighted to the side of equality keys. The Earth Nation is permitted to internally distribute, trade, or award light as desired at a value rate of no less than 7 cents per light. For every 100 light the EN puts into circulation, the Light Foundation may internally or externally distribute 1 EQK. Currently, the EN allows ENV members to trade equality keys for light and vice versa at a rate of 8 cents per light and $5 per EQK, minus a 3% transaction fee that is granted to the ENCWS. The third EGT was with EarthShare. This trade was nearly identical to the trade with the Light Foundation. The SET is designed to be the body that makes and moderates choices related to the amounts, pricing, value, and exchange agreements of currencies in the EN Trade Guild family. All EGTs must be initially approved by the entire Earth Nation Alliance. So that was a lot of numbers, a lot of math. Not all that's going to make sense to most of us. We can dive really deep into that for those that are interested in looking at graphs and running math, running simulations, performing thousands of calculations. Happy to share that intellectual workload with anyone that wants to take that on with me and the rest of us. But in the meantime, one second, Charlene, just like the overview of it to compare it to something in the traditional world is similar to how the United States offered US dollars as loans to undeveloped countries. And then in exchange, those undeveloped countries owe ongoing money back. We're a startup, new paradigm nation. And when newer nations are starting, we come in, we bolster their economy by linking it to ours. And then in exchange, our reserve then has a big chunk of all of the growth of their economy. And every group we do this with expands our economy, gives us more products, more services, more locations that we can keep spending our currencies cyclically without ever converting it back to fiat. And that's where is like all the merchants, yeah, they're taking Bitcoin, but a lot of merchants, they take that Bitcoin and immediately within seconds turn it into fiat. So it's not really the same as what we're doing here. And in fact, I don't know any other group in the world that is doing this to the extent that we are. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our whole overall system. I did not get into our advanced governance policies relating to other groups, but that will be a talk for another time. Charlene, do you have a question on this section?
Yeah, all EGTs must be initially approved by the entire ENA. Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Yeah, like we explained in the collective intelligence processes, the ENA is a 3-body voting system, each with its own consensus of people, and each body needs to... Can you mute, please? There's a lot of background noise. And each body needs to agree for an EGT to pass, just like any other funding proposal that moves through the Earth Nation Alliance.
I'm curious about the initially part. Why initially? So
once the initial trade has been offered, then the exact nuance details, like for instance, when I said that currently the EN allows ENV members to trade equality keys for light and vice versa at a rate of 8 cents per light and $5 per EQK, that is decided by the SET. so the actual ongoing internal trade amounts. And then also, to some extent, the rates for external trades as well are kind of ongoingly managed by the Economic Council. And that's not something everyone votes on. Yeah. All right. Thanks for sitting through that with me, y'all. Do we want to discuss any part of that whole stack of things right now? Do we want to mention there's a different change, or would we just like to get into more of like the teams and the action and whatnot? How are we feeling? Okay, great.
Yeah, let's go ahead and move forward.
All right. So at this point, we have made a lot of different mission statements, and I wanted to see like what teams do we want to get activated into. So first off, one second, let me just find this over here. So I just kind of wanted to feel into the people here, like what teams are we really interested in activating in? And the first thing I wanted to do is go through our list of the teams that we are already basically planning and have some funding in process for. And I want to hear from the people here if anyone is really interested in very actively participating in these projects. And just for some context for this, active participation in these projects means at the very least that you will be doing something meaningful, collectively approved, and then being paid an EN family crypto for it. But for a lot of these projects, there will also be cash funding available. So this is less, do you want to volunteer in this project, and more like, do you want some kind of internal paid position in one of these projects? And so I'll just do a little screen zoom here. And then after we go through these, I would love to hear suggestions for other teams that we can have. But basically, first one is online education. And basically, we need a total overhaul of our online systems. Just like everything. I'd love it all to be updated, upgraded, refined, further developed. That includes like our video stack, our academy stack, our website, our social media outlets, our communication and training policies and guides. Who is personally directly interested in actively participating in the development of that team? I got one. I got two.
Yeah.
This is Mary. May I ask what all the teams are before, so I know what the options are?
Sure.
Thanks.
Yep. And you can pick multiples too. But there's online education, Earth Nation TV, Earth Nation Market, the Earth Nation application. And those are actually just the four main ones that our community will be directly participating in at this time that we already have. So I heard two for the online education. Let me just plug that in over here.
Well, I guess that's both. Rono and Lotus are very into the online application or the online and education form.
Okay, so I'm putting Prism, Charlene, Rono, Sierra. Is that it for that one? Okay.
And Lotus.
I was muted before, but could you repeat the four again? There's the online education, there's Earth Nation TV.
Earth Nation Market and the Earth Nation application.
And what's Earth Nation application?
That is our upcoming tech project where we are making it into one sweet app, so many different features and functions that we've historically developed. It's going to have a lot of cool things in it. It's like our version of everything. I could send you a doc on it. It's like a 15 feature document. I like to think everything we could imagine wanting as a group of new paradigm creators will be included in this application.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, it'll be the central place where we manage everything related to the Alliance and connect with each other.
Yeah, no more any other platform. We will all get to use this for everything. We're using every other platform for it, and it'll talk to itself so smart. And through Kogov and Hollow, it'll talk to other similar apps also in a very intelligent way. Yeah, working on that project is a very specialized thing, FYI. But yeah, I'm just curious. So Earth Nation Market, that's room for play for sure. In the marketplace, we are looking for help in just like there's going to be some online administrative based stuff. They'll be looking and evaluating products. And then I also want a 5 benchmark criteria system for how we evaluate products. And then there'll be a need to be a team that goes through that evaluation for every product in the store. Is anyone particularly interested or called to that project set? I know Lucinda's got that going on.
Mary is interested in that.
Excellent.
Donovan is interested.
Cool.
Yeah, definitely with like helping find products. That's one of my passions.
Yeah. Oh, great. All right, next one.
I've been finding other people
Go ahead.
so we can plug into that as well.
Yes.
The people who love clothes. There's this awesome woman named Galit who has like all these cool connections with clothes, new paradigm type clothes. So she wants to help us with the marketplace and creating a clothing section.
Yeah. Market's going to be so fun, you guys. I'm excited for that one. What about the TV project? So for the TV project, we want people we're basically looking to form different sub-teams that are going to be regularly producing new Paradigm Media content. Who is on the news team? Got one for Charlene? Prism, I know you're all over that.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? Anyone?
I would transfer Sierra from the other one to the TV one.
Okay, you can pick more than one, also.
Wasn't even sure we wanted to pick one, so you got added to the other one. So.
Cool.
Kukui.
And I know Natural wants to be a part of that as well. Okay. Fabulous. Jonah. Great. Okay. So those are the projects we already have planned. Who would like to propose a project now that fits within? Here, I'd like to zoom into this. Just so.
The application.
What was that?
The application. You haven't done that one.
Oh, you want to be on the app team?
I do actually, and I was just, you haven't asked the group about that yet.
No, I didn't, because I didn't think anyone was technically minded, but yeah, okay, I'll add you to that. Does anyone else feel called into somehow at least participating, learning about, maybe guiding the app process? Prism, yeah, definitely a good one. Cool.
I'm not technically minded, but I am very, very curious. I'm not technically minded necessarily, Dakota, this is Rono.
Yes.
But I'm very, very curious about the app, and I've been thinking about a lot of different apps, and so I don't know what I could necessarily support, but I'd be curious to stay informed.
Absolutely, I'll add you to the team, and I think the perspective of all of us will be something that I greatly appreciate at the very least. Great, added you to that. Can someone pull up our, oh wait, here it is. Okay, I'm gonna do a little screen share. So now, does anyone have a proposal for a new team with a new project that we didn't already mention that somehow fits within this mission lineup here? It's gotta fit.
I mean, I think my idea fits. I mean, I've always had, the passion to continue on with the financial education. We're like weekly seminars, and then what I'm trying to do is develop as many resources that I can teach people to perform, so that we can spread the knowledge and help as many people in the paradigm. Because I'm only one person. And I have a couple processors that do certain things. But once we really hit critical mass, I'm going to need help. And I want to start teaching people now. And it would be great to teach people and pay them with our equality keys and some flow that comes through, their work of bringing in referrals and doing work. So I think a financial team, a financial project, or, like a school where I can teach as many people as possible, because I need to share my knowledge. I need to download my info to as many people as possible. I feel that it would help the collective bring in more money, right? If we all had access to a little bit of money, it would be a lot easier to get projects up and running. We wouldn't have to raise money from only a certain select few people. We all would have the ability to tap in. It wouldn't be as difficult. So I feel empowering people to be as financially, just have the capability of tapping into money, or teaching people how to get there is really, really important.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Sign me up for that.
Yeah.
Mary's interested in part of that conversation.
Yeah.
As well.
Great.
I can also see that being part of the Earth Nation TV as a educational series show to empower and educate people on that aspect.
As well as within the education, so that our core team is highly educated and has access to this wisdom at a high level.
And hey, here's a blend. Part of it could be people about our cryptocurrencies, all of our cryptocurrencies, right? And how they function within the system. Because that needs to be something that everybody's learning as soon as possible. Because the more people that understand how our system works, the more they want to play in it, right? So.
Yes, yeah, sign me up. That's a very exciting team. I'll be at that meeting and group for sure. Give me all that knowledge, John. You got some of the best knowledge like ever. Straight up.
Every day, guys. It's getting really, really exciting right now.
Yeah. All right, that's one team.
I have a team.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to gather our whole team in the fall or winter for a big Heartstorm Mastermind round 2, where everyone comes and immersion, working towards a 2020 meeting of the minds. What Prism, like that #1 goal that we have on there, where we start to really include our network and allies. And so just leaving a team of gathering us into coherence.
So a team for the next mastermind.
Next mastermind, and then also starting to prep for the mastermind that can include people beyond Earth Nation, so we can start collaborating on bigger projects together.
All right. Charlene, holy moly.
That rustling is from your microphone on your chest. I think.
My mic's here. I don't know.
Oh, the microphone's up there.
Kind of
Is it?
Yeah.
I'll come back to this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so mastermind team. I heard that. Wow, I put so much energy into the last mastermind. I'm actually gonna not do that one. I support it. Would anyone else like to participate in the mastermind team to plan and schedule our next mastermind? I see Prism and Jonah.
And Rono.
And Rono. All right, get it, Rono.
Yeah, Rono.
Rono in the house.
And with the food aspect of it.
And Donovan.
And Donovan. Excellent.
Oh, I'm not going to do it if Donovan's on it, though.
You're making him
Yeah,
proud.
kidding.
Oh, the puns. Okay. All right. So thank you for that team. What are some of our other team ideas or suggestions that we'd like to possibly dial in on?
This is not a team suggestion, and I don't know if this was discussed earlier because it popped out to use the loo for a moment, but has anyone commented on your clean-shaven face? Because it looks amazing, Dakota.
I got 3 compliments now, Rono. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I've got another one coming up. I feel really called to facilitate another Earth Nation HQ. And I'm looking for a suitable mansion house or mansion complex. Hopefully somewhere in the world where we can access really good organic health food and pre-made nice restaurant food, but also where we can get a really good rate on like a 10 to 15 bedroom complex somewhere. Yeah, that I could really use some help looking for that. I'm thinking right now in Bali, even though it's across the world. I know there's got to be some sweet spots in like America though, and if anybody knows of a place, I am.
Costa Rica.
Yeah. What about Costa Rica?
Pricing is the same as USA. I don't want to pay Los Angeles pricing for a 15-bedroom complex. That's not the budget currently. But if we were doing 400 to 500 bedrooms, I can roll that right now.
400 to 500 a bedroom.
A bedroom, that's right. Yeah, but not 1,000 to 2,000.
What if the complex is gifted?
Oh, I mean, we love that. We love the gifts. Heck yeah. What's good? Where it at?
What did he say? Could you repeat what he said? Gifted. Oh, gifted. Yeah. Could you have a can you have like a spreadsheet or something, or like a write up of the specific needs and requirements that you have?
Yeah, I have that. So verbally, it's really, really like easy. But yeah, we just like looking for a nice big place in the woods next to or like within distance of a nice health food store, hopefully, or an organic restaurant we like. And then I really like being elevated with a view, and we like it nice. It's got to be really nice looking. Yep. And our target range is like somewhere between like 300 to 500 a bedroom for 8 to 15 bedrooms. And not just one house, we need multiple houses. I'll write all that up for you.
Yeah, and Dakota, we have a spreadsheet somewhere of a lot of things because we've been looking for the same. So we've got a lot of resource, not that we know, but that we found. So I'll
share you
that
Google doc. Our assistant spent like 3 weeks on it. So.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Send that over. Thank you so much.
Where all that.
The places that you guys found?
They're all around there. A lot of them are California. Some of them are in Dominican Republic. Some are in
New York.
Upstate New York, like all over the place. Mostly America, but in other places.
What was the price ranges for the place?
Probably anywhere from.
They all range.
They all range, but it was I think like 2,000 to 3,000 a night, give or take, on average.
But a lot of them too are negotiable because you guys want like years or monthly.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a year lease for this. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. But a lot of them though, they're like Airbnb, VRBOs, and you could negotiate year leases on them.
Yeah.
At least that's my experience when I looked at them.
All right.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
Got it. Woods, somewhere cool.
Yep. And if anyone else wants to help us look for places, that would be fabulous. Super appreciated. Thank you all so much. I'm so excited to have another HQ. It's going to be fun. All right, another team. Who's got a team? Jonah.
To just elaborate potentially on the last subject we just discussed on the place for this as a headquarters or heartquarters spot, as it comes together with our media movement, potentially having that heartquarters space be where we do the 24/7 live network. So it'd be almost like, real world Earth Nation style, right? So it'd be like what's happening in that space is constantly on the flow. You open up that channel and that could create the income stream as well as the awareness for the location that we look into.
Boom. My thoughts exactly, Jonah. Yes, John?
What about the Baja property? It has a bunch of villas and a bunch of RV slots, right? I mean, that could house 15 people, fairly cheap, I would think.
Yeah. The last time I talked to Chase and Susie, they weren't interested in doing Earth Nation related things there.
Oh.
So
That's not.
I wouldn't say that's not it. I don't think that's entirely accurate, but we won't have any real answers on Baja for several more months. The project in scope is just so much more complicated and bigger, and there's so many moving parts to it. It may not be an ideal thing, but it could potentially work. But there's a lot of things we got to sort out first.
Cool.
You want to add to that, Prism?
Yeah, it's just that right now, like Rono said, there's a lot of things that would need to happen down there. We're not sure what's going on with the property, how much space is available. But I think having the heart quarters nearby the resort, like in Ensenada, would be super smart, because then we'll be able to build the studio over at the Baja Resort fairly quickly.
Yeah. And there's a resort hotel that's got 19 bedrooms in it that might rent out for a year nearby that we can send you as well. It's pretty dope.
Please send us, because I was doing some research in that area and I couldn't really even find a lot of large properties. It was very few to none.
And they look to jank. We really like nice things, but if we can find a nice spot over there that meets our needs, we're very open to it.
Yeah.
We weren't able to find anything online in that area, but doesn't mean it's not there.
Yeah.
John?
Yeah, so just so you know, I mean, I'm still 100% focused, and this will happen. We will have a nice big headquarters here on Maui. I'm committing to that. The things that I'm working on will provide that for us. It's in the works. It's not just going to be, overnight or in 6 months, but I'll know more in the next few months, because the first installment of money is going to be coming in, which is going to be purchasing property. And on that property is going to have the ability, we've already talked about it within our committee, to provide Earth Nation headquarters. And so it will happen. And if, we're talking about, I'm talking about not having to pay rent, just having the land, and then having, the property for our use, and then, building more maybe tiny homes or little things as we go on the property. But if you're talking about being willing to pay rent, that might be another avenue we can take, where I can see if part of this money can be used to facilitate the purchase of a piece of property or piece of land that then can be used for development. And then also,
that would be really cool and would drastically speed up the So
anyway, I got a lot of things that I'm working on here, okay? Because this is where I'm sticking my flag right now, my family and everything like that. So
Lucinda's got her flag here on Maui as well.
Yeah. So we will definitely figure that out. Yeah.
You and I should talk, John, because I'm working on closing a deal for a 450 acre piece of property on Maui as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
And so there might be some collaboration there. It'll be years before there's anything actually built on it, but while there's nothing built on it, like you said, why not have the Earth Nation camped out in little tents and campers and stuff, just moving around. Hello.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Yeah, let's chat.
Cool.
Jonah?
Also, we can think about utilizing the collateralization program that we have that Brother Natural is presented to us. So upon the purchase of these properties, we can immediately use that program to create the resources to go ahead and immediately go into the build project and the architectural and structural design of that by leveraging the very property that we just purchased.
Yeah, what I'm talking about. Making money out of more money. Okay, so would we like to propose any additional teams at this time? Seem to have a really good stack. Prism, I know you're really into that life coaching, but I figure that is basically the end conclusion of our online education team. It'll probably be a system that we build out after we fine tune our onboarding process. And I'd imagine that it basically leads into the life coaching program. What are your thoughts on that?
I see us creating a portal to citizenship that takes people through all the coaching that they need and will give them an opportunity to earn keys or buy keys through the process. But we'll start working on it this summer once things settle down a little bit, but it might be, quite a few months before we can really sit down and make it happen.
Got it. All right. Okay, let's do a recap. So we have 7 teams that are coming out of this. The online educational team, Earth Nation Market, Earth Nation TV, Earth Nation app, the finance team, the mastermind team, and the Earth Nation HQ team. Are we feeling content and complete? Or are there any other teams we'd like to see and facilitate? Natural?
Just thinking particularly for one of the mission statements that I had mentioned, particularly the events and gatherings, as far as like not events, but what did you call it? The experiences team. I'm not sure if that was mentioned. I just got back on, so.
No, we don't have an experiences team as of now. Would you like to propose that?
Yes, basically for the mass, eventually I see big, whether it's at Baja or big stadium events or festivals or, just any type of experience that we can offer the masses for self-development and empowerment. So yeah, I would love to propose that.
Great. I love the channel you had, Natural, on activating here on Maui on the streets of the city. Would you be willing to give us a couple-minute riff on that?
Yes, basically what the street team that has been guided to bring forth is basically the notion of everybody bringing their aloha, their gift, their skill out into the streets and doing it in a strategic manner where basically we will set up basically a whole system or various guilds within that team. You'll have musician team, you'll have a artist team, you'll have a performance team, you'll have a meditation team, you may have a yoga team, you may have a street minister team, you may have a pamphlet handout, dissemination team for awakening, and so forth, for an example. And basically, we each basically pull up in a bus, or all of us pull up in a caravan into a particular place upon the island or in the city or wherever we're at, and then basically bringing our aloha all together for a period amount of time, activating as many people as we can, giving them the exemplification of what aloha looks like, and also giving them various means to bring aloha back to their hometown, and also to make just in a nutshell, that's kind of, and then also basically this being the kind of like the prototype of that here in Maui, and then being able to bring these various teams all over the world, and then along with that, be having a whole caravan eventually around the country and the world eventually as well. But in a nutshell, that's the blueprint ready to be bring forth here now.
Boom. It's very exciting to me. Sign me up. I'm on that one. Yep. Hook it up. Yes.
Yeah, that's an important blueprint.
Say that again?
That's an important blueprint for everything to execute.
I got to jam, guys. Got to go get my daughter from school. Love you all. Happy Friday. Have a great weekend. Hit me up. Okay.
You too, John.
Bye, guys.
Okay. So there was some strong call in our conversation to start adapting other tools. Here's the thing, though. Without really strong commitment from our team, those tools just don't get used. And it's often a lot to ask someone to now log in and check one more source on the internet like every single day, multiple times a day. Or if we want to initiate like another toolkit, like let's say I would recommend Discord at this point. If the amount of Facebook chats are overwhelming, because the next phase for this is to make a chat for every single team. So if people are okay with having 5 or 6 Facebook chats they're in, we can do that. If not, we can move to Discord. But to move it to Discord now, I want a firm commitment from all of us to start using it. I see a no from Prism. I'm also historically very much on the fence with this one. How are we feeling?
And what is Discord?
It's it's like Slack but better.
It's like Slack but better.
Uh-huh.
I would be a thumbs down to moving to another software platform that's something I don't know. Slack. Just because we use Slack, and it seems like that's kind of like the common place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be good just to keep it in Facebook. People stay more engaged through Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And
10 times more engaged. Freaking
once
Facebook.
we have the app and we can send push notifications, like when they have relevant messages, I think we should move to that.
Yes, sir. I am willing to format the teams into Trello, though, so we can have a Trello board with a list for each team, and then the teams can kind of self-organize, like group communication there. I think Trello is worth, I'll at least make that to see if it's a tool we want to use. But other than that, I think we'll just keep using our current stack. Is there any particular tool we feel like we need to start using at this point in our processes other than the tools we already are using? Okay. Fabulous. So after this call, I'm going to make 8 new rooms, and then I'm going to put everyone who signed up for each team in each one of those rooms and name it. I'm then going to leave some of those rooms because I'm not involved in every team. And then we will continue conversation for each team in there. I actually figured, so I was initially thinking we'll have 1 or 2 rounds for team, like it's at the 4 o'clock time, like on Monday. But there's actually enough of us that have enough team crossover that I think that we should individually in each team schedule the next team meeting. And just to go over what that's going to look like in a similar fashion to how we've done our first 2 sessions, I'd like each team to replicate a minor process of that. So coming together, getting a blank copy of the collective manual, going over the vision of the team, and this time instead of like the big vision, like literally what's the vision for the team itself? Like really dial it in. And also what's the mission specifically for the team? And then I can assist in this process, but the idea is that each team is going to walk away from 1 or 2 meetings with a proposal. And I'll write up a doc on what that proposal, like what the criteria is. We can actually talk about that now. Also, it's a little bit of meta conversation. But for me, each proposal should probably have A, like the parties that are committing to being management of that proposal. B, the initial amount of funding required for that proposal to actualize into reality. C, like what does that actualization look like? And then D, what's the end result of the successful actualization of that project, specifically from the framework of what is the positive impact on the planet, what's the positive impact on our people, and what is the positive impact on the EN sub CWS are the criteria that I would like to see from each team for each proposal. And then that's basically when we break up into our teams and we all create that team structure and then the team proposal, we can come back together again as a big group and really evaluate what we are doing next. How do you guys feel about that process? Feels good? Great. So I'm actually probably going to say, oh, Jonah, yep.
Suggestion, given that we have currently 8 teams, do we see anything in those 8 teams? Is there any the crossover in those 8 where we potentially can bring it into 7? Having 7, then we have each team having a day of hosting per week where we can magnetize the field and invite others into gathering with us for the specifics of what that team's movement and activation is, that the team's focus is. Is that clear?
That is clear. And that's a very interesting idea. I feel open to that. How do the rest of us feel? I would say that instead of pooling them, I would just do the Earth Nation app separately. That really is a team that's going to be done by our professional developers and not really by anyone here. It's something we can get feedback on, but I don't think anyone here is a high-end technical programmer, and that's what that job is about. So I would take the app like off that weekly cycle there, and I would just say we run with the other 7 teams.
I'm not for having the weekly cycle, because that means that all 7 teams are coordinating with each other to make sure it's on a different day, and it doesn't give the team itself sovereignty over deciding what's best for them each week. And we don't need to necessarily all be
at every meeting.
Be all working at, and I personally don't want to be at every meeting. So I like the idea, and I'm not for it.
So I hear that. We definitely don't need to have a theme to the day, though I think the idea of knowing like ahead of time a little bit and then inviting extra players to the meeting that aren't vote holders, that's something I feel super resonant with. Yeah, you know what? I think maybe the actual day timing for each team maybe is something we should leave to each team. And if certain teams want to like line up in a trajectory, as Jonah mentioned, I think that's definitely food for further conversation. But for right now, I inherently want to give that choice sovereignty to each team. How do we feel about that? Jonah, does that feel resonant with you? Something we can work with?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I. All right.
Yep.
Well, that.
I have a question, if I
Mary?
may. What is the time frame for these team breakouts in terms of coming back to the group, and how much time are you envisioning dedicating, having each team dedicate to this project?
That will really be up to every team in terms of the time that they choose. When we get into teams now is really where we come into our independence and our power, and like where we're giving what we want, and that's about it. Got no like vision or criteria or expectations for each individual team, though I would prefer for every team to be done by Wednesday. However, if we feel like we need more time to make people aware of the schedule, I would say we could put it off until Friday. But either on Wednesday or Friday, I want to come back together as the whole and evaluate what the teams have built. And that would be my timing on that.
Got it. And just a quick question for clarification, brother. I missed a little bit of the call, and just briefly, I know you just went right through the different teams. Maybe if you can just share a sentence about each of those teams and the intention of the team quickly, if that's possible, just so we're in clarity.
Yeah, absolutely. 1 second. So the online education team is about upgrading, streamlining, and adapting all of everything we have online. Our social medias, our website, our academy is just a whole experience. We're really looking to open it up and streamline that experience. Then we have Earth Nation TV, which is going to be a 24/7 television station eventually. In the meantime, we're going for producing which will then be distributed across major alternative social media providers. Earth Nation Market is our conscious alternative and competition for Amazon, and will revolve mostly around finding, curating, and evaluating products. And then there is the Earth Nation application team, mostly technical, though I am asking for feedback from some great minds that have led epic collaborations before to kind of go over our design for the system and add critique and feedback at various stages of development. And then those were the 4 that I'm bringing to the table. I guess I can speak on behalf of our others here for a moment. So the financial team, John basically wants to take his one-stop money shop company and basically insource all of his vast arcane financial knowledge to us to give us autonomy and scalable independence in our financial systems. Then the Mastermind team, led by Charlene, would like to start working on the next Mastermind event we're going to be hosting in the next few months. Planning, designing, inviting, hosting, etc. Then we have the Earth Nation HQ team. I'm leading that, and I'm looking for help, looking for the very best spot for us and our family to ground into the world in a great way. And then finally, the EN Experiences and Street team. which you're on about, where we're going to be going out to the people and giving them amazing, enlightening, and educational experiences. And those are the 8 teams.
Dakota, did you say that you wanted the teams to come together and formulate proposals by this next week?
Mm-hmm. That's right. Wednesday or Friday. Yes. Yeah, so just for some context, like these teams, this is something we really want to activate on. And if you're like, oh yeah, I just kind of want to do that in months from now, then I would take it down as a list of our teams. These teams are specifically for things we really want to start activating on. And if we don't, then add them to the epically long list of stuff we want to do over the next 100 years. This is really about dialing into activation, yes. So based on that face you just made, Charlene, do you want to speak into that a little bit?
Yeah, I guess I don't understand the proposal process yet. So when I think about proposal and working with teams and getting everyone's vision and making a plan and budget, that often can take at least a week as a team, and the team still has to like get each other on the schedule, maybe have multiple calls. And so it seems impractical to have it by Wednesday, and Friday even seems quick, but maybe the proposal is more simple than I'm thinking it is, because I haven't been in a proposal process yet. So it could just be maybe it's a higher level overview and not as specific as I thought a proposal might be.
It is generally more of a high level overview. Yes, the exact execution of proposals is generally left up to the team and to the center coordinator managing that team. As the EN, we really just want to see what we described earlier. We want to see the team. We want to see their vision. We want to see what their plan of action is. We want to see their costs and expenses, and we want to see what their success looks like for us and for the world. But really, that's something I can do with any team and group in less than 3 hours, pretty much. So if I can do it in 3 hours, y'all can do it in a few days, I'm sure. And then as proposals are approved, initially, there's actually another level of approval that goes into it. But I wanted to talk about all of that in another meta conversation after we put these proposals on the table. I really want to see what we're working with and who's playing what before we get into the next and deeper level of the meta money and proposal conversation. Make sense?
What do we do about all the people that aren't here that would be involved in teams and getting them into this process?
Nothing. This is all based on people's free will, and if they freely choose not to show up, then they don't show up, and we don't do anything about it, really. I mean, we're not here to, persuade anyone to play with us. They either want to play or they don't. They either show up or they don't. The amount of time it takes to manage new paradigm kittens is way more time than it's worth. So anyone who's not on this call, they have the opportunity to watch this recording and then speak into the chat and join a team. And people that do not do that will be left behind to passively support us, as they already are and will continue to do. It's not a requirement to actively play in the team to be in the Earth Nation, but it's available for those that wish it. All right. Do we want to talk about any other topics while we still have 20 minutes left on this call, or would we like to do an early wrap? Early wrap?
Yeah, I've got an early wrap. Early in the morning.
I just have just some clarifying questions upon how it's going to flow. How to give us, like, what does it look like? How we, what is with each team, and who, what's next steps as far as moving forward into those teams and so forth. I may have missed it, but I did a
little recap on it. I can do that again, and I'm also the collective document template that's in the chat. I'll re-upload it, basically filling out that template. So we want to see the team's vision for the team. We want to see the mission for the team. We want to see actionables, like what is the team literally going to do? What is the cost for the team to do that? And what is the benefit of that team doing that successfully for our people in the Earth Nation?
Right.
And I'll write that all up into a little doc.
Right, I get that, but as far as the notion of even getting into the team, how do we know who's on the team and who's setting up the calls and for each team and so forth?
Right, so I have in our main document here, the Earth Nation Collective foundational document that is also in the chat. I've been updating it. And over here at the bottom, we now have the names of each of our teams. Here, I'll just screen share that. And then it also includes the lead. Look at that, handy dandy. So the lead is responsible for creating and managing the meeting, as well as uploading those meetings. Please, we really want all this content. It's really, really good stuff. But if people want to get added to the team, they'll be able to speak up into the Facebook chat room, the vote holders room. And then if people in each team want to personally invite someone into a team that is not a vote holder, they may do so, at which point I would like for their name to be added to this list. They will also be added to a Facebook chat. We're going to have one Facebook chat for each of these teams where the communication is primarily going to take place.
Got it. And who will set up each team's group? The lead?
I'm going to set up every chat room right after the call.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for the clarification, brother. It's appreciated.
Yes, Jonah?
Notice when you put up the screen share, I was not on the online education. So if you want to just add me in.
You got it. Boom. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, are we getting ready to close out with some resonance activity?
Yep.
All right. Well, maybe just for simplicity's sake, let's do 3 deep breaths and 1 Om to close. So first, breathing in.
Gracias.
And then
Beautiful.
All right, see you guys. Love you.
Lots of love.
Love y'all.
I love you.
Mahalo, aloha. Okay,
Aloha. Peace, love, and bananas.
Peace, love, and banana.